Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we have had so much fun trying out all of the features like Q&As and polls that let us be really creative and engage with our audience. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Welcome to episode 55 of Podcast Royal, where madness is ensuing. Oh boy, the Queen tests positive for COVID not long after Charles and Camilla do as well. Andrew settles with Virginia Giuffre, and Charles and Harry might be called in for police questioning surrounding Charles's foundation's cash for honors scandal. It's a bit of a mess over here, and we're here to talk about it. Welcome back to episode 55 of Podcast Royal. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I wish listeners could hear the offline conversation we were just having. Actually, I kind of don't. We have the most interesting conversations before we start recording every week.
We do. And they're a lot of times not even related to the Royals.
Today's was definitely not. It was it was hilarious. We probably needed those laughs to gear up for the very serious subject matter we're tackling today.
Right, exactly. So this week, I'm into so many things, but I'm going to narrow it down to two. So the first thing I'm into, and I really hate to admit this, but I'm into Wordle. So
thank you, finally.
Well, I told myself I was not going to even go there because I didn't want to get hooked. But of course, I caved and I am hooked. I am just glad it is one puzzle a day. But my mom and I have started playing and we share our results back and forth. And you know, I like words. I like to write. So it makes sense that I would really enjoy Wordle. And I guess you're hooked too, Rachel.
I'm hooked. Yeah, and it actually makes me want to get up out of bed in the morning. And for this non-morning person, that is very helpful. Like sometimes, okay, this is so embarrassing to admit, but sometimes if I have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, because you know the new Wordle restarts at midnight every night. If I have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I'll do the Wordle before I go back to sleep. That's how much I'm addicted to Wordle. And so, okay, I don't want to make a time suck for you, but you can Google Wordle archives and there they are. And I got sucked down that rabbit hole over the weekend.
Don't tell me that. Ugh.
I know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, I may not be quite as obsessed as you yet. I have not had middle of the night bathroom break Wordle sessions, but there's always an opportunity for that.
Yes.
So
it will come in time. It will come in time.
The other thing I'm into this week is the fact that I just got my passport in the mail today. So
Nice.
my old one expired recently and I've been wanting to travel again. So I sent off for a renewal and I'm honestly really impressed with how quickly it came. Government stuff like that, you never really know. But it came a lot faster and I'm super excited now. So it's time to start planning vacation.
I was going to say, where's your first trip?
Well, my sister and I are looking at doing a girls' trip to the beach sometime in the spring. So we'll probably do some kind of little island getaway. I'll have to share more about that once I get details, but I'm really excited.
Sounds amazing.
So what are you into?
Well, I have a two-parter as well. So I am into seeing Cousin Love on full display at the Super Bowl. So Harry and beloved cousin Eugenie attended the big game in Inglewood, California, which leads me to want to ask you, are you close with your cousins?
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of first cousins. We are all spread out across the United States. So I feel like if we were all in the same town, we would be really, really close. But we are, I would say we're as close as we can be, given that we're all, working or traveling or married with kids, and staying busy. But we do try to stay in touch. And I've got, oh my gosh, at least I off the top of my head, I can't even remember, at least 10 first cousins. So we've got several of us, all spread in several states. What about you?
Yes, I'm very close to my cousins. They're all boys. I don't have any girl cousins. I
Oh.
only have boy cousins. And so there is a 0% chance that Ryan, Tyler, or Brian are listening to this podcast. But if you are, you're not. Brian's wife Olivia might be. So if any of my cousins or their spouses are listening, I love you so much. My cousins are like my brothers and I absolutely adore them. I'm super close to them, but like you said, so all of my cousins are out of state. So I don't get to, but that's kind of like Eugenie and Harry. I mean, more than out of state, they're out of country. So I appreciate the long distance cousin love. It made my heart happy. And then I also wanted to shout you out, you, Jessica. You got me the sweetest Valentine's Day gift because you knew this Valentine's Day would be difficult for me. So you're the best. Thank you. And that chocolate was delicious. I tore through it.
Well, we talked last week or last time we did the podcast about how much I like Valentine's Day. And it really is, to me, a fun day to just, treat yourself or show some appreciation for people in your life. It doesn't have to be a romantic holiday if you don't want it to be. So I'm glad you like the chocolate.
Delicious. I wanted it to be a romantic holiday, but it was not. Alas, it was not. But at least I had some good chocolate on Valentine's Day thanks to you. So thank you. You
Awesome. You're
are
very
the
welcome.
best. So thankful for you. Okay, so before we get into the royal rundown, we also got a listener email from Peggy. We love getting listener emails, so please email us at hellopodcastroyal@gmail.com. She signed off her email as a new but loyal listener. Thank you for that. And she said, in part, regarding Her Majesty the Queen's proclamation on the occasion of the 70th anniversary of her ascension to the throne, regarding HRH Duchess of Cornwall, I say well done. Camilla has really stepped up to the task of supporting HRH Prince Charles and Her Majesty, very formal titles, Peggy, I appreciate this, in the work of the crown and should be able to enjoy having the title when that day arrives. And after all, whether or not the Queen styles it or Prince Charles does it after he ascends to the throne, she will be queen consort just like she is the Princess of Wales, which is true. We don't often think about that because to us, Diana is the Princess of Wales, but because Charles is the Prince of Wales, therefore Camilla, his wife, is the Princess of Wales. She just goes by, as Peggy says, as we go on in Peggy's email, the only difference is that out of respect for Diana's memory, she does not use the Princess of Wales title. Of course, she uses, this is me speaking, of course, she uses Duchess of Cornwall. Back to Peggy. And as a commoner, would she technically be styled as Princess Charles, not Princess Camilla, or would it just be Camilla, Princess of Wales? Diana had royal blood, so I think calling her Princess Diana was correct. I could be wrong, though. I would be interested in other listeners' feedback about Peggy. Anyway, wrapping up Peggy's email, she said, job well done this week, ladies. I enjoyed the podcast immensely. Thank you, Peggy. We love our listeners. That is so cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that email.
So, into segment one, Royal Rundown. My gosh, I need to pour like 90 drinks to get through the Royal Rundown. It's like all the wheels fell off in the last 2 weeks since we recorded. So, I woke up on Sunday morning, this past Sunday, the 20th of February, to a rather terrifying text from you, actually, you, Jessica, informing me that Her Majesty had tested positive for COVID. Per a statement from Buckingham Palace confirmed that the Queen has today tested positive for COVID. Her Majesty is experiencing mild cold like symptoms, but expects to continue light duties at Windsor over the coming week. To that, I say, Your Majesty, please stop working and rest. Although I did read today, Tuesday, that she's canceled some meetings this week, which I think is good. Okay,
Right.
back to the statement. She will continue to receive medical attention and will follow all the appropriate guidelines. The statement concluded. The one bright light in this is that I know that she is getting the best medical care literally in the world. So I feel good about that. So backtrack to last week. Charles and Camilla, fresh off of the Queen's announcement that it was her wish that Camilla would one day be Queen Consort, attended a reception to celebrate the British Asian Trust, can't speak, a charity Charles founded in 2007 to combat poverty and injustice in South Asia. The next morning, it was announced that Charles had tested positive for COVID, saying that he was at home and self-isolating. Of course, this is Charles's second bout with COVID. He tested positive in March 2020, right at the start of the pandemic. So Her Majesty last saw Charles on February 8th out at Windsor, where he was on hand doing investitures, and he tested positive 2 days later. But Charles wasn't the only royal who tested positive last week. It was just sweeping through the royal families of not only Europe, but Asia as well. So Queen Margrethe of Denmark, which I'm probably mispronouncing, and we're going to have to say it again because Kate is in Denmark this week. She just celebrated 50 years on the throne. She tested positive, as did King Philippe of Spain. Princess Yoko of Japan actually developed pneumonia because of COVID and had to be hospitalized. And then on Valentine's Day, it was announced that Camilla had tested positive too, as Clarence House released the statement, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cornwall has tested positive for COVID-19 and is self-isolating. We continue to follow government guidelines. So a lot of COVID news over the past couple of weeks. What are your thoughts to COVID sweeping through not just the British royal family, but through royal families around the world?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, an interesting time for that to be happening. One thing we've learned about COVID is it's going to COVID, right? As long as, it's something mild like Omicron and people are recovering, then I think, we're continuing to build immunity. But it's really shown us that, so many people in the last, 2 or 3 months have tested positive for COVID. And I kind of think, it's interesting because our royals are undergoing so much regular testing, and they've talked about being vaccinated, so they're really kind of monitoring these sort of outbreaks, I guess, or you know, how much they're transmitting, potentially transmitting COVID. But um, I feel like there was a long time where they put travel on hold and they put, events, you know, they weren't the same. They were virtual, or they had all these protocols in place. And at some point it's like you can't put life on hold forever. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now. They're coming out and they're doing things, and it's gonna kind of run its course. So I think it's interesting that Charles has tested positive twice, and he's been fully vaccinated. So
Mhm. Yeah, and by the way, the Queen is believed to be triple vaccinated. So just, of course, sending our biggest possible well wishes to Her Majesty and to all of the other royals. Charles and Camilla are seem to be fine. Charles is back at work. Just this so scary, especially about Princess Yoko and her hospitalization. So just please stay healthy, everyone, royal or not. And by the way, speaking of Camilla, we got a reaction from the Duchess of Cornwall in regards to the Queen's statement that she should be made Queen Consort. When Camilla stepped out for an engagement at London's Nourish Hub community kitchen, she was asked by a member of the public for her reaction. Camilla's response, I feel very, very honored and very touched, she said, as she should. It's a huge statement of support. So back to Her Majesty. The same day she was confirmed to have tested positive for COVID, she sent a message to Great Britain's Olympic team, writing, I send my warmest congratulations to the Team GB, of course that stands for Great Britain, women's curling team on your outstanding performance in winning the gold medal at the Beijing 2022 Olympic Winter Games, following the silver medal achieved by the men's curling team yesterday. I know that your local communities and people throughout the United Kingdom will join me in sending our good wishes to you, your coaches, and the friends and family who have supported you in your great success. So, I again have heard that since she released this statement on Sunday, that she has canceled some of her virtual audiences this week. But are you in agreement with me that Her Majesty should just rest right now? I mean, keep in mind, this woman will be 96 years old in April. I just
Yeah,
wish she would rest.
definitely. I did also see that she had canceled a few engagements, but she was going to continue to do some light desk duties. And I think we have to trust her judgment along with her medical advisors and assume that she will rest if and when needed. So, as you mentioned, definitely praying for a quick recovery for Her Majesty and all of the royals we've talked about who've been battling COVID recently. I will certainly be excited to hear when she's back, working at full capacity again and fully recovered.
Absolutely. So, well wishes from Podcast Royal, Your Majesty, and again, all other royals and all other people that are battling COVID. It still continues. So, from one from one nerve-wracking story to the next, we learned that the Metropolitan Police have launched an inquiry into Prince Charles's charity, the Princess Foundation, following the Cash for Honor scandal with a Saudi businessman that began making headlines last September. I know we've talked about this on the show before. So, as we know, Michael Fawcett, who used to run the charity, is out as of November, but the investigation is on and the foundation is cooperating. No arrests have been made, Scotland Yard said in a statement, and a spokesperson for the Princess Foundation said it would be inappropriate to comment on an ongoing investigation. Words that we keep hearing far too often from royal spokespeople, if you're asking me. So both Charles and Harry could possibly be called in by the police for questioning on the matter, because Harry actually met this particular Saudi billionaire before Charles did and had expressed concerns over him. So I know we've talked about this on the show before, but I'd love to hear any further thoughts you have on this.
Well, of course, I hope Charles and Harry are both not at fault in this situation. I mean, there's been enough scandals going on lately, especially with one brother that we all know whose name starts with A and ends in Drew.
Oh, don't worry.
Um,
We'll talk about him in just a second.
yeah, we don't need any more trouble. I think, if anything were to come out, it would only, cause more damage to the royal family's reputation right now. So I'm really hoping that, nothing is uncovered here that would show either Charles or Harry to have done anything. And I don't expect that to be the case. Do you?
Well, I don't think, or excuse me, I don't think Harry is in any like any chance of any wrongdoing. He would just kind of be called in as a witness because he did meet this man and he did express concerns in 2015, which is the year before this businessman was given CBE honors by Charles, a knighthood. Which the whole crux of this story is that he was given knighthood and promises of British citizenship in exchange for donations to the Princess Foundation, which of course is not okay. And so Harry doesn't stand any chance of being in trouble. He would just be called as a witness to having met him and having expressed concerns. What were his concerns? Charles allegedly has had no knowledge of this. He has never wavered in that. But of course, we've talked on the show that really Charles can't win here because either he knew about it, which I really kind of don't think he did, or he was asleep at the wheel and didn't realize that this was happening with the CEO of the Princess Foundation, which is the charity named in his honor. So either he was involved or he was really clueless about the inner workings of what was going on in his organization. And neither one of those is good. Now, one of those, the sleep at the wheel would be better, of course, because it's not criminal, but it's messy. It just
Well,
messes continue.
really and truly, though, let's say Let's say they did find that, he was guilty here. I mean, what's really going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think, it says something that the police are investigating. I mean, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. I truly believe, based off of everything that I have researched, and I have written a couple stories on this, and so I really have done some research, and I don't think Charles knew about this. But again, what does that say about his leadership? I don't think he has any culpability. I don't think either. I know Harry doesn't have anything to worry about with the police questioning. I don't think Charles does either. But I do think that it makes me say, once again, I mean, I think we even asked Penny Jr. this, what's going on here? There's something that's not connecting. So I think Michael Fawcett is the one that's going to obviously take the fall for this, and he should, because he is in the wrong. But it's just it's very staggering to hear that Charles and Harry could be questioned by police, then lead into this next story, which of course we've been talking about for what feels like forever, about Andrew. It's just too much royals and police and royals and the court of law. It's just jarring. So, in news I quite honestly did not see coming, Andrew and Virginia Giuffre have reached an out of court settlement. Upon Giuffre's receipt of said settlement, both parties will file a dismissal. The amount is not being disclosed, but I've heard 12 million, I've heard 16 million, but no official amount has been disclosed. But here's what we do know. Prince Andrew intends to make a substantial donation to Ms. Giuffre's charity in support of victims' rights, documents filed by Giuffre's lawyer stated. Prince Andrew has never intended to malign Ms. Giuffre's character, and he accepts that she has suffered both as an established victim of abuse and as a result of unfair public attacks. It is known that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked countless young girls over many years. Prince Andrew regrets his association with Epstein and commends the bravery of Ms. Giuffre. I bet he is like, this tastes like vinegar coming out of his mouth, and other survivors in standing up for themselves and others. He pledges to demonstrate his regret for his association with Epstein by supporting the fight against the evils of sex trafficking and by supporting its victims. So, for their part, Prince Andrew's representatives in the UK had no further comment. So I'm obviously dying to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I told you when I saw the headline that I couldn't decide if I was more upset that Virginia settled. And, at the time it kind of seemed like maybe she sold out for money, or if I was more upset that Prince Andrew got off without really having to face court.
Yeah.
But, thinking more about it, I do have to admit that I'm happy to hear at least some of that money should be going to charity to help victims. So it sounds like it's going for a good cause, which doesn't make it feel like it's a total sellout. And he did in his statement, at least showed some regret in being associated with Epstein. So I think that's a positive in all of this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have gone back and forth on this. I mean, I share your sentiments. We talk, you broke the news to me that he had settled. And my first thought was I wanted Andrew to get his day in court, because I think he has culpability. But who I thought about as I've really thought about this over the last week or so is the Queen, and how glad I am that she's not going to have to face that utter embarrassment and shame of having one of her children on the stand.
Mhm.
And how I'm glad that, really, after we finish this discussion, we really should be done talking about Andrew, hopefully forever, because he is going to fade to black in the family. He's no longer working royal. So, we I've also gone back and forth on it, but at the end of the day, if Virginia Giuffre is pleased, then I have to be pleased too.
Yeah.
So I am glad it's over. I'm glad it's over for Virginia. I'm glad it's over for Her Majesty. And hopefully we can move on.
I agree.
So I'm going to interrupt the very heavy news with a piece of light news. We need a break before we get back to other things. So Her Majesty is apparently going on a real entrepreneurial kick. We've talked about ketchup and brown sauce. Now she where do they get these ideas? She has come out with a perfume for dogs. The dog perfume Happy Hounds dog cologne is I love this marketing speak. Like, because you and I both have done marketing stuff. This is so incredibly marketing speak. The cologne is a rich, musky scent with citrus notes of bergamot or bergamot. I don't know. Somebody's laughing at me out there. And smell. This is great. And smells of coastal walks, according to the Sun. This is for your dog. Let me point out again, the perfume retails for £9.99. So that would be $13.53. In the It's in the gift shop at Sandringham, and it's a unisex and long-lasting fragrance. And what is happening here? I don't have a dog right now, but will you be buying the Happy Hounds dog cologne for your pup?
Well, the first thing that I came to mind was I love the and smells of coastal walks.
That is marketing speak at its finest right there.
Well, I do think it's really cute. I mean, it's no secret Her Majesty loves dogs. And honestly, it makes more sense to me for her to sell puppy cologne than ketchup and brown sauce. I mean, we've all seen her corgis and dorgies through the years. And I have to admit, I love it when my dog has a fresh bath or a groom and he smells so good. I think sometimes the groomers do use like a sort of puppy cologne that they spray on them. So I mean, I think this would probably sell well. It fits her brand. And I feel like most people who have dogs, I mean, why wouldn't you want your dog to smell like a royal pup? So I mean,
There you go.
I have to assume her dogs are also using this cologne. And I mean, 9.99, like that's not a bad price, right?
I don't know
Love
what I don't have a dog, so I don't know what people pay for dog cologne. But
it.
I'm very interested to see what her next entrepreneurial venture will be because all of them have kind of blown me away. I don't know what to expect next. So, royal lovers, there's you can for $13.53 here in the US, you too can have a dog that smells like a coastal walk, whatever that smells like. Sometimes coastal walks don't smell very good,
Yeah, they
but
do.
hopefully this one's a good smelling coastal walk. And also in happy news, happy belated first birthday to August Brooksbank, who turned 1 on February 9th. In a sweet Instagram post, we learned from mom Eugenie that his nickname is Augie and that he is such a special soul that brightens every room with his smile and wave. So happy belated birthday, August. And Prince William is home from Dubai, his first official visit to the UAE, and also his first official trip abroad in nearly 2 years. And Kate is currently in Denmark. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I want to, before we go there, we found out via my favorite royal podcaster, Mike Tyndall, who, for those new to the show and new to royal following, is the husband of Princess Anne's daughter, Zara, that the royal family has a WhatsApp group chat, which is totally fascinating. I've been obsessed with that factoid for like 2 weeks. And he, as a former professional rugby player, wanted to razz Kate about her rugby skills. Of course, she's the new patron of rugby, but it turns out he said she's pretty good. One of Mike's co-hosts told him and his other co-host on his podcast, The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby, she looks a more natural rugby player than both of you put together. I love it when people razz each other. Mike agreed and said, I texted Ellis Genji, I'm sorry, I'm butchering that too, and said, mate, please tell me anything she messed up on so I could sort of family WhatsApp group get to her. And he said, no, she was actually pretty good. And she was really good at kicking. And I was like, but she has this competitive nature. And the real question here is, what else do you think goes on the royal family group chat? I want to be a fly on the wall in that group chat.
I assume it's probably like, a chat thread that they maybe don't use every day, but they like to tease each other and, poke fun at each other and check in on each other every now and then. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's a lot of avoiding the elephant in the room on the family group chat these last couple of years. I don't know. I mean, I guess they keep it pretty light if Mike's trying to razz Kate, but that is totally fast. I wonder who's all on there. Like, does the queen have WhatsApp? Like,
I
that's
feel like it's probably like all of the cousins, don't you think?
yeah, yeah.
That's what I think. Like
I feel
it's a
like it's
lighthearted chat.
yeah, I feel like it's the grandkids and their spouses, like William, Kate, Eugenie, Jack, Mike, Zara. I mean, probably Harry and Meghan, right? They're still cousins. So, um, anyway, I just find that totally compelling. So, back to Harry and back to some heavier stuff for a minute. We mentioned this on a previous episode about Harry's desire to increase his security protection while in the UK. Last Friday, it was confirmed that he, quote unquote, does not feel safe, according to Harry's legal team, who took the case before the High Court in London for a preliminary hearing to get the taxpayer funded police protection back. Harry did not attend in person, and his attorney, Shahid Fatima, expressed concerns at the hearing. So, do you have any additional thoughts on this? I still don't understand why they won't just let him pay for it. If he's offering to pay for it, let him pay for it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's something going on that we're not aware of there. Um, I I don't really know what to say about this. I mean, I just feel like there's always some kind of drama going on with the Sussexes, and I don't want to like question whether or not he should feel safe or not when he's over there, but it just doesn't it seem like there's always some kind of hurdle or some kind of issue going on, and it's just a bit exhausting.
Yes, but I can tell you that so apparently who is Helly? Harry felt safe when he came to the UK for Prince Philip's funeral in April. He came back, of
Mhm.
course, for the Diana statue unveiling in late June, early July. And he was apparently chased by paparazzi in his car from the airport, which of course is triggering, right? I mean, that's how his mother died, being chased by paparazzi. And so that is the kind of protection that he wishes to have back. Now, okay, I wrote an article about this and I should have taken better notes to bring to the show, but only the Queen, Charles and Camilla, and William and Kate have full time royal security protection. Sophie and Edward and Anne and other working royals have protection when they're at work. So when they're doing engagements for the family. Beatrice, Eugenie, and now Andrew, they don't have any royal protection. And so I guess in a weird roundabout way, you could lump Andrew and Harry in the same boat, even though that feels wrong because I mean, I like Harry a whole lot more than I like Andrew, but um, I still don't understand what the problem is in it because look, if he was saying, okay, the British taxpayer has to pay for my royal protection, that's a problem, right? But if he's saying I'll pay for this myself, I don't get the disconnect, and I'd love it if a listener can explain that to me.
So, again, I don't question, you know, whether or not Harry should or shouldn't feel safe when he is in the UK. I know he has a long history with the paparazzi, and I totally get that. I just feel like there's always some sort of conflict or rift or drama between him and the family dynamics when they're trying to get together. And if he wants to pay for security, is there not a way for him to pay for, really, really great security that's maybe based in the US that could travel with him and provide him that sort of same level of protection and, rather than having official UK security. I just feel like there should be some sort of workaround here. And I don't know why they keep having to butt heads on this specific issue. Like surely there's more than one solution.
Yeah, well, I will say that he does have a US security team, obviously, but there's and I reported on this and I am having trouble coming up with the words to describe it. There's some kind of secret sauce, like intelligence wise, that Royal Protection has that even the most elite US security does not have because they don't know the lay of the land like Royal Protection would. So I don't know. I digress, but the court will figure it out. How many times have we said that this year? That's getting to be an oft repeated phrase, but we'll see how that turns out. That again, that's a preliminary hearing, so we'll see what happens. And well, in the midst of a week of rough news, my gosh, again, I need a drink. We can always count on the Duchess of Cambridge to help us out. So today, Tuesday, Kate landed in Denmark, Copenhagen, specifically for her first solo tour since 2017 when she went to Luxembourg. This is the second time Kate has visited the country. The first time was in 2011, not long after her wedding. So, Kate's first stop was the University of Copenhagen to meet with world renowned researchers running the Copenhagen Infant Mental Health Project. Her visit to Denmark will include a meeting with another of our favorite royals, Princess Mary, who, like Kate, celebrated a milestone birthday this year, and learn about her Mary Foundation, founded by Princess Mary in 2007 to protect vulnerable women and children from domestic violence. She will be hosted at the palace by Queen Margrethe. I can't say that, and this is the second time this episode I've had to say that. Margrethe. I'm probably saying that wrong. Who just got over COVID and who is also celebrating a jubilee this year, as I said at the top of the show. She's been on the throne for 50 years. So during her 2-day trip, it's a short one. Kate will, according to Kensington Palace, spend time learning how Denmark has created an enabling culture for early childhood development, specifically how it has promoted infant mental well being alongside physical health, and how it harnesses the power of nature, relationships, and playful learning in the first 5 years of life. So I thought this was interesting. Kate confessed today, Tuesday, that she is very broody, saying that William always worries about her meeting kids under the age of 1 because she comes home saying, let's have another baby. And then in some of my favorite photos I've seen of the royals recently, Kate went to the Lego Foundation Play Lab. She went down a slide in heels, a true Renaissance woman. Did you see those photos?
I did see that. Yeah, that looked like
So
fun.
beautiful. I love it. So this is the first time Kate has taken her work of the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood abroad. I didn't really realize that, but I guess that makes sense because it's also Kate's first major overseas trip for work since 2019 when she and William went to Pakistan. So I would love your thoughts on this visit so far. We are recording this on Tuesday night, so she's completed day 1 of the 2-day visit.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're only on day 1, so I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to really dig into her visit. It looks like a great trip. I did get to see her go down the slide, so that's really fun. I'm gonna I'm gonna give maybe an unpopular opinion here. I'm not sure. Didn't love her fashion choice
Oh,
for
I liked
this
it.
one.
It matched Denmark's flag.
So yeah, I mean, I totally respect that aspect of it, but I just felt like it could have been a little more sharp or sleek. I don't know. It was missing something for me. It wasn't my favorite look.
My mom commented on her hair, and I liked her hair, but she said that her hair wasn't as bouncy as it normally is. We're just being haters over here.
Maybe
I thought she
maybe
looked great.
maybe Denmark weather doesn't work well with hair. I don't
That's what mom said. She was like, maybe she's got some humidity going on or something. I don't know. But anyway, so we'll see. We'll report on day 2 of the visit in our next episode because it hasn't happened yet. So this Saturday, by the way, February 26th, mark your calendars. It's the first ever Battle of the Cambridges. England will square off against Wales in a rugby match. So I know nothing about who is favored to win or lose. I don't know a thing about rugby. I just can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know nothing about rugby, but I do really enjoy seeing people get excited for the sport. So that's fun.
Yes, me too. I love sports. I just don't know a whole lot about rugby in particular. So, last item in Royal Rundown before we move into Royals around the world. Mark your calendars for tiaras on March 2nd, which is a week from tomorrow, I think.
Mhm.
Yes. March 2nd is a week from now. There will be a diplomatic reception at Windsor. We are assuming that the Queen is okay and COVID free and everything. We'll see the Queen, Charles and Camilla, and William and Kate in their finest. And I can't wait for it. Awesome. Anything else for Royal Rundown?
I don't think so. I think you covered it. That was a really big royal rundown.
Whew, I'm exhausted. I need a nap after that. And then we've got a little more to come in Royals Around the World. So, moving into segment two, Sweden's heir apparent Princess Victoria and her husband, Prince Daniel, are speaking out, saying divorce rumors about them are completely unfounded. This is from a rare statement on social media in which the couple want to address the widespread negative rumors about them as a couple. The two said they usually wouldn't entertain any speculation about their relationship but decided to address rumors in order to protect their family. They wrote, "It has come to our attention that there are widespread negative rumors about our private relationship. Allegations are being spread about betrayal in the relationship and an impending divorce. Normally, we do not comment on rumors and speculation, but in order to protect our family, we wish to make it clear once and for all that the rumors that are now spreading are completely unfounded." And finally, we've heard from Prince Albert that Princess Charlene is much better as she continues to recover. Speaking to local newspaper Monaco Matin last week, Albert said, "Princess Charlene is doing much better, and I hope she will be back in the principality very soon." Well, we do as well. So I'm going to take an exhale and hand it over to you, my friend.
All right. So before we hop into the lifestyle segment, I've got my royal fashion fave of the week. So
Yes.
today I am recognizing Lady Kitty Spencer. Listeners might remember she got married last year and she was kind of all over the news. I feel like prior to that, we really didn't hear that much about her, but she had stunning dresses at her wedding and dresses in plural. Didn't she have like 5 gowns, right?
He did. It was crazy.
Um,
Dolce and Gabbana on overload.
it was really, really and like just yeah, excessive but beautiful. So anyway, she is a brand ambassador for Dolce and Gabbana. She's often modeling looks on her Instagram account if you've never been over there. But most recently, she did a shoot in this floor-length black gown, which I guess is part of Dolce's hot stuff collection. So the gown's got long sleeves. It's very fitted in the top. And then right at about the knees, it kind of drapes out and goes all the way to the floor. It is all black fabric, covered in black sequins, has sort of a corset feature around the ribs. It's very, very sexy, beautiful. And she's got it paired with black nail polish, deep red lipstick. She's got the big gold statement earrings on with the Dolce and Gabbana, emblem. And then she's got her blonde hair pulled back in a low bun. And I really loved the look. I mean, it was definitely high fashion, but it really stuck out to me this week. I didn't see a whole lot that really wowed me. So I thought I would talk about that look.
Yes, I haven't seen it, but I'm looking it up right now.
Good. Yeah, definitely check it out. And listeners, you can check it out on her Instagram account. So today's segment, I thought we would so we talked about Valentine's stuff last month. And since we're still in February, I thought we would kind of continue with some of the, sweets that you enjoy during Valentine's, the desserts and everything that everybody loves. So continuing on with that theme, I thought we would talk about our royals' favorite desserts. We've talked a little bit about this. We've mentioned all of these. So to get started, Queen Elizabeth and William both share a favorite dessert. These two royals both love the classic chocolate biscuit cake. We've talked about this on the podcast before. I think I even linked a recipe to one several episodes ago. But for
Didn't
those
he
who
serve
aren't
that at the
familiar,
wedding?
they did. Yeah, it was his groom's cake.
Right.
I mean, it is like his favorite dessert. So, for those who aren't familiar with this recipe, it's sort of like a no bake dessert. Just imagine a bunch of like digestive biscuits or cookies in a cake pan, and then you pour this rich chocolate sauce or ganache over it to kind of fill all the space in the pan. And then instead of popping it in the oven, you refrigerate it for a few hours to allow the chocolate to harden. When you take it out of the pan, it'll be in the shape of a small chocolate cake. So, I have never had chocolate biscuit cake, but I've definitely always wanted to try it. I'm a big chocolate lover and I love the British digestive cookies as well. What about you, Rachel? Does that sound something you would like?
Of course. And it sounds like the dessert that not even I can mess up. Like you can't mess this up.
Yeah, pretty easy one to make. So, Her Majesty is also a big fan of raspberries. And one of her past royal chefs that we've talked about a lot before, Darren McGrady,
Mhm.
he used to make her a dessert called, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this, framboises Saint George, which is actually a dessert he created especially for her. She asked him to make something with raspberries, and it's like a raspberry custard in the shape of a British flag.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. It sounds really fun. And I like raspberries also.
I do too. I love raspberries.
So if you had to choose, would you rather do chocolate biscuit cake or raspberry custard?
That's actually a tough call because they both sound great, but I'm gonna have to go with chocolate biscuit cake because this has been really hyped up by the Queen and by William. So I'm gonna have to go with the chocolate biscuit cake.
I think I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
All right. So next up, we've got Prince Charles. He actually is a big fan of Welsh cakes. Do you know what those are?
I have no idea what those are.
So Welsh cakes are a soft, flaky, traditional sweetbread local to Wales. They kind of remind me of a cross between like the way they look anyway, like an English muffin and a pancake or a griddle cake. And they're actually cooked in a pan on the stove. So traditionally they were called bake stones because they were cooked in an iron, like a cast iron griddle on the stove. They're made with flour, sugar, butter, spices, like nutmeg. You can add cinnamon, and then some people add dried fruit to the batter. So you would grease your pan, pour the batter in just like a pancake, and then once they're done, you can sprinkle them with powdered sugar. So you have kind of a sweet dessert. I've actually never had a Welsh cake, but I did see some recipes online and some photos, and it looks pretty yummy.
Sounds great.
So, all right, next up, we've got our Prince William and Prince Harry, our two royal brothers who both share a love for caramel banana cake. Are you a
Oh,
banana
that
fan?
sounds great. That sounds really good.
Well, you and Harry have a lot in common because he likes bananas. That's one of his favorite flavors.
I
So,
remember, don't you remember when Harry and Meghan first started dating? And do you remember this? And Meghan put an Instagram up of bananas that were like holding each other.
no,
And you remember this?
not at
And this is like
all.
one of the first clues that she and Harry were together.
Oh my goodness. I
This
didn't
was a long time ago. This was like 5+ years ago. But yeah. So anyway, he does love bananas. You're right. And that was a total nod to him.
That's funny. Yeah, I did not follow Meghan Markle on Instagram back in the day, so I missed that one.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So caramel banana cake, this is a dessert that was made often for the princes when they were growing up around Buckingham Palace. The cake batter has mashed bananas, it's got vanilla, brown sugar, and it actually even has a little bit of sour cream for texture. It's
Mm.
baked in a 9 by 13 inch pan, and then it's frosted. And the frosting also has brown sugar, butter, powdered sugar, vanilla, and more sour cream. So,
Do you know
um,
that you're killing me right now? I am so hungry. It is 7:50, no, 7, yeah, no, 7:36 p.m. I I thought it was 7:56, 7:36, and I'm dying of hunger over here.
Oh, sorry to all of our listeners who are
I know. Sorry, listeners, if you haven't eaten.
Yeah, so we'll continue on with the banana flavor for Prince Harry. He also actually really likes banana flan. So I guess how the version is made at Buckingham Palace, it's basically like in a pastry crust, and they put banana custard in it, and then they top the custard with a layer of banana slices and cover it with a glaze. So when I think of flan, I think about like the traditional sort of, oh, I mean, it looks like a really loose custard with like a caramel sauce on top
Yeah.
kind of. But this feels very different to me. It's in a pastry crust, and it's got really pretty like the, circles of banana slices, and then apparently the glaze is put on there so the bananas don't brown. But the photo of it I saw looked really, really beautiful.
Sounds amazing. Again, you're killing me.
So, okay, Rachel, I know you know a lot about Princess Diana. Can you tell us one of her favorite desserts?
My gosh, I don't know if I can. I can't pinpoint one. This is, see, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, you do. So, Princess Diana loved bread and butter pudding, which sounds
Oh
divine.
my gosh, that sounds divine.
And this was also one Chef Darren McGrady would make. It's a cross between a pudding and a creme brulee. It's how he described it. And he says whenever she ate this dessert, she always went for a second helping. She absolutely loved it. He describes this as really a true comfort food. And in his recipe, he has amaretto liqueur, raisins, vanilla, and sliced almonds. So I'm not a raisin fan, but I would definitely be willing to pick around them and give this a try if I were given some.
I know you haven't seen Spencer yet, which by the way, Spencer is on Hulu, so you can see Spencer if you want to. But anybody that's listening that's seen Spencer, all I can think of right now is Diana in that pastry closet and the chef coming, who is I think supposed to be Darren McGrady, comes in and she's, I mean, this is not like, it's not a good thing that she's binging because she's going to go purge it in a little bit, but she's just in this pastry closet, like just stuffing herself with desserts,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's just, it's wild.
You like bread pudding, don't you?
Oh, I do. Yeah, you and I have eaten bread pudding together, I think.
Yeah.
I'm much more of I think I've said this on the show. I'm much more of a carbs person, a bread person than a desserts person, but I mean, how can the carb person not love bread pudding, right? I mean, I love desserts, don't get me wrong, but I'm literally, my stomach is like, I wonder if the mic is picking up my stomach growling. I'm struggling.
So we've got a couple left. Camilla actually also enjoys Welsh cakes like Prince Charles, but she also really likes lavender shortbread, which I don't know if I've had really any of these desserts we've talked about today. But so there are several recipes online for lavender shortbread. But shortbread's basically like a cookie, but it's a little bit thicker, than your average cookie. It's usually made with lots of butter and sugar. And then for the lavender flavor, you can either do like dried or fresh lavender right into your cookie batter, or you can use like a lavender infused sugar if you want to do that to get the flavor in there. And we also know that Camilla likes a sponge cake. So listeners might remember last year she shared her own recipe for Victoria sponge. Her recipe calls for flour, butter, sugar, vanilla, and baking powder. So you divide your batter evenly into two separate cake pans. And when it comes out of the oven, she suggested using a filling between the layers of either lemon curd, jam, or Nutella. And then she also recommended topping it with powdered sugar. So she sounds like a dessert girl too.
Nutella is just, oh, love it.
I have not had Nutella in a really long time. The
Oh, I
first time
thought
I
you were
ever
gonna say
tried it
you'd
was
never
in
had
college.
it. I was gonna say,
I,
Jessica, how
I
is possible?
Well, I've only ever had it like maybe twice ever, back when
Oh,
I was in college.
oh my gosh.
So
My favorite
I did
thing is
like
to put Nutella on a bagel. So good.
it. Oh, yeah, for sure. So I have to was surprised by Kate's favorite dessert. Don't get me wrong, I really like her choice. But I would have pegged Kate as someone who liked light fruity desserts like a sorbet or a mousse. In fact, Kate loves sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, that sounds great too.
Yeah. So the family really loves their pudding, right? I feel like we've talked about pudding and custard a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm pretty sure most people have probably maybe tried something like sticky toffee pudding at some point. But if you're not familiar with it, this pudding has dates, eggs, sugar, butter, vanilla, flour, baking powder, and baking soda. So the pudding's baked in the oven. And then when it comes out, it's covered with a sauce made from brown sugar, butter, and heavy cream. Kate enjoys her sticky toffee pudding with a dollop of clotted cream on top. So that sounds like a really, really rich dessert, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. I would take any of them right now.
So these are all royals that we've just talked about who have had the good fortune of having desserts made especially for them or even totally created for them at Buckingham Palace. Most of these recipes, listeners can actually find the royal version that the palace uses online. Just do a quick Google search. Darren McGrady's recipes are out there if you want to make this at home for your families. And we'll just wrap this up with a few other royals out there who also enjoy desserts or sweets that I wanted to mention. So let's see. The Crown Princess of Denmark, she loves dark chocolate and fruit tingles, which is a candy from Australia where she grew up. Queen Maxima of the Netherlands really loves chocolate mousse and dulce de leche. Queen Rania of Jordan is also a fan of dark chocolate. And then Meghan Markle has been known to say that her favorite dessert is wine. But she did share a recipe a few years ago online. And I say a few, I mean several years ago before she was a royal, for a dessert that I think she created and she makes herself called gingerberry crumble. So basically, the filling is it's blueberries, blackberries, vanilla, lemon, honey, and fresh ginger. And it's baked in a pie dish and it's topped with oats, cinnamon, so whatever flour of choice that you prefer, vanilla, flax, coconut or olive oil, and honey. So you put all of that together, bake it, and then you pull it out. And I guess you eat it sort of like a pie. But sounds good to me. What about you, Rachel? Does that sound like something you would like?
That's also very relatable that her favorite dessert is wine because I've been there. I have been there. In fact,
Yeah,
my dessert tonight might be wine because this has been a heavy episode and we've had technical difficulties and it's just a long day. So, dessert, wine, perfect.
I agree. I appreciate a nice glass of wine. Although, if you gave me the choice between wine and chocolate, that would be really hard. I might go with the chocolate. But yeah, this berry crumble recipe, it sounds really good. I have to admit, I would probably omit the fresh ginger. I'm not a really big fresh ginger fan.
Yeah.
Other than that, I could get behind it. It sounds pretty good. So, that's all for me today. I hope I made all of our listeners hungry and it inspired you to pull out your baking utensils and make something this week for your family or friends.
Well, if your goal was to make people hungry, I'm the first one to hear this, and you have done your job, my friend. What an episode. We have had heavy news. We have had dog cologne. We have had technical difficulties. We have had the whole gamut. I am hungry. So, anything else for the good of the order?
I don't think so. We'll just be back soon to catch everyone up on more news next time we get together.
Oh, please, God, let our next episode, episode 56, be a little bit lighter. My goodness. And again, well wishes and good health to Her Majesty. And, listeners, as always, we love getting emails. I love emails like Peggy's email. So email us at hellopodcastroyal@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Podcast Royal and follow, rate, review the show. We are imperfect as all get out, but we're having fun and we're loving being with all of you. Thank you so much for being here for episode 55 of Podcast Royal. Bye.
Bye.